Narad.
Great.
Namaste. And welcome to our continuing series, Terminology in the Integral Yoga. Today, Birth, Part 2. From the Mother, the Obscure Birth. Last week I spoke to you of birth, how souls enter into the body, and I told you that this body is formed in a rather unsatisfactory way, almost for all people. The exceptions are so rare that it is hardly worth the trouble to speak about them. I told you that you come through this obscure birth with a whole physical baggage containing things that you have generally to get rid of if you are to progress truly. My own words have been quoted, which are, quote, you are brought by force, an environment, an environment is imposed on you by force. The laws of atavism are imposed on you by force. Now, the person who writes to me asks, who does all that? Evidently, I could have been more explicit, but I thought I was sufficiently clear. The body is formed by a man and a woman who become the father and the mother. And they are the people who do not have even the means to ask the being they are about to bring upon earth whether it liked to come or whether it was in accord with their destiny. It is upon such a body formed by them that they impose, by the force of necessity, an atavism, an environment, and later on, an education, which will be almost always obstacles in his future growth. Therefore, I have said here and say it over again, parentheses, I thought I was clear, end parentheses, that it is a matter of physical parents and physical body, nothing else. And that the soul which incarnates, whether it is growing or fully grown, has to struggle against the circumstances imposed upon it by the animal birth, struggle to find its true way and find back again its own full self. That is all. Now, if you have some other things to ask, nobody has anything to say? The question is asked to Mother. Is it possible for the father and the mother to bring to birth, to ask for the soul they want? Mother replies, ask. For that they must have an occult knowledge, which they generally don't have. But in any case, what is possible is not to do the thing like an animal driven by instinct or desire, unwillingly, most often, but to do it instead with a will and aspiration. They must put themselves in a condition of aspiration, almost of prayer, so that the being they are going to build may be a form suitable for embodying a soul they are able to call down to incarnate in that form. I have known people, they were not many. Such things do not happen often. Still, I have known some people who chose special circumstances, prepared themselves by concentration and meditation, and a special aspiration and sought to bring down into the body they were about to form an exceptional being. In certain countries of ancient ages, and even now, the woman who is about to have a child is placed under special conditions of beauty and peace and ease, under very harmonious physical conditions, so that the child may be formed under the best conditions possible. This is evidently what should be done, for it is within the measure of human possibility. Human beings are sufficiently developed for the thing not to be quite exceptional. And yet it is quite exceptional because very few think of it, while there are innumerable people who produce children without even wanting it. That is what I wish to say. It is, therefore, possible to call down a soul, but then one must have a little consciousness oneself, and then one must seek to do what one does in the best conditions. It is very rare, but it is possible. Another question to Mother. When a body is formed, is the soul incarnating there obliged to incarnate in that body? Mother responds, I do not understand the question very well. The person continues, the formation of the body depends wholly upon a man and a woman. But is the soul that manifests in the child, in the body that is forming, obliged to manifest in that body? Mother says, you mean whether the soul can choose between different bodies? Yes. Of course, it is very exceptional, in spite of everything, in this formidable human mass, for a conscious soul to take a body according to its will. It is a very rare fact. I have already told you that when a soul is conscious, fully formed, and wants to take a body, generally it seeks from its psychic domain to see a corresponding psychic light somewhere upon the earth. Also, during its previous incarnation, before it passed away, before it left the earthly atmosphere, the soul, as the result of the experience it has had in the life that has terminated, generally chooses more or less, parentheses, not in all details, but on the whole, end parentheses, the conditions of its future life. But these are exceptional cases. For ourselves, it may be, we might speak of this, but for the majority, the vast majority of human beings, even among those who are educated, the question does not arise at all. What comes is a psychic being in formation, more or less formed, and here there are all the stages of formation, from the spark becoming a little light up to the fully formed being, and that extends over thousands of years. This ascent of the soul to become a conscious being, having its own will, capable of deciding the choice of its life, takes thousands of years. So you want to speak of a soul that would say, no, I refuse this body. I am going to look for another. I do not say that it is impossible. Everything is possible. In fact, there are cases of stillborn children. It means there was no soul to incarnate in them. But that may be for other reasons also, for reasons of malformation only. One cannot say. I do not say that the thing is impossible, but generally, when a conscious and free soul chooses to take a body again on earth, even before the birth, it works upon that body. It has therefore no reason for not accepting even the inconveniences that may be due to the ignorance of the parents. For it has chosen the place because of a reason that is not a reason of ignorance. It has seen a light there. It may be simply the light of a possibility, but there was a light, and it is for that that it came there. So it is all right to say, ah, no, it does not please me. But where could it go to choose something else that might please it? It may be done. I do not say that it is impossible, but it does not happen very often. For when the soul looks down from the psychic domain upon earth and chooses the place of its next birth, it chooses with enough discrimination and is not likely to make a gross blunder. It happens also that a soul takes up a body because it has already started on the way. The starting may be due to many reasons. For children who die very young, in a few days or weeks, the reason may be something like that. It is said also that the soul needed just a little experience to terminate its formation. So it had a life of a few weeks and then departed. All is possible. To tell the history of the soul, it would need as many stories as are needed to tell the history of man. So to decide arbitrarily, it is like this and it is not like that, this happens and that does not happen, is childishness. Everything can happen. There are cases, some more frequent. Again, there are cases, some more frequent than others. You can generalize, but you can never say this is not possible. And it is always like this or always like that. Things do not happen in this way. But in any case, yes, in any case, even in the very best of cases, even when the soul comes consciously, even when it has consciously taken part in the formation of the physical body, so long as the body is formed in the usual animal way, you cannot prevent the soul from having to struggle and correct all the things that come from this human animality. The parents have necessarily a special formation. They are in especially good or bad health. Even putting the things at their best, the parents have a mass of atavism, habits, and formations in the subconscious and even in the consciousness, which are the result of their own birth, the environment in which they lived, and the life they have had. And even if they are remarkable people, they have a quantity of things which are altogether contrary to the true psychic life. Even the very best, even the most conscious among them. Furthermore, there are all the things that are to come. Even if one takes good deal of pains for the education of one's children, they come into contact with all kinds of people who will have an influence over them, particularly when they are very young. These influences enter into the subconscious, and one has to struggle against that later on. I repeat, even in the best of cases, you are compelled, because of the way in which the body is formed now, to meet innumerable difficulties that come more or less from the subconscious and which rise to the surface and against which one must struggle in order to be completely free and develop normally. Namaste.